with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, muni muli wanji, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jed Lee, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the crowded Mattress Studios in beautiful Reedville, a beautiful neighborhood of Boston. We are so delighted and so very honored that you join us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to tell all of your family and friends about the podcast. Please be sure to subscribe to the show in the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher Radio, wherever you find your podcast. Our guest today is Brianna Clement. She is here to celebrate a dream can be achieved. Before we invite Brianna into the studio, we want to let you know that this episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast is brought to you by the Antidotes Pollution Solution, written by Dr. Patty Michelle. When a group of fifth grade friends is returning to normal life into school after a global pandemic, the waters of the Chesapeake Bay have become polluted by a plastic-eating bacteria experiment gone wrong. Both fish and kids are getting sick. A group of friends go to the science club and discover a fishy cover-up. The school has to close down again. These climate warriors, who call themselves the Antidotes, join forces with public health activists to find clean water solutions. The friends use STEM strategies to help save the Earth from a potential disaster. And they also have secret meetings, do a little spy work, and make some useful discoveries. The Antidote Pollution Solution by Dr. Patty Michelle is a really fun and informative middle grade novel that you and your kids will love. Get your copy today. Pollution Solution. It's The Antidotes by Dr. Patty Michelle. This episode of the podcast is also brought to you by Help Ringo Tame His Temper, a fun, interactive anger management book for kids ages 5 to 8 that teaches them critical thinking skills, and it was written by our friend Sarah Belisa Tucker. Are you tired of tantrums? Are your child's emotional outbursts turning your life upside down? Parents, teachers, and counselors need a solution that inspires children to take action. Help Ringo Tame His Temper is a fun, choose-your-own-adventure-style children's book that entertains as it gently guides the reader to control their emotions by helping Ringo navigate the consequences and benefits of different decisions throughout his day. Kids are going to love to read this book over and over and over again to see if their advice helps Ringo tame his temper. This is the latest in Sarah's Adventures of Harry and Friends series, and it deserves a place in your family library. Help Ringo Tame His Temper, a fun, interactive anger management book that is absolutely wonderful and written by our friend Sarah Belisa Tucker. Join us right now from the beautiful state of Arizona. Our guest is here today to celebrate. Her wonderful book is called A Dream Can Be Achieved, Luxton, a swimming champion. Please welcome to the show and a writing champion, Brianna Clement. Hey, Brianna, how are you?
Hi, Jed. I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. And how are you?
I'm wonderful. I'm so delighted to have you on. Brianna and I had a wonderful conversation about Arizona, about her former home in New Jersey, and we haven't talked about A Dream Can Be Achieved. And I'm really interested because it's all about swimming, which is something that is near and dear to my heart.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so just to tell you a little, Jed, about the book, it's about a young boy named Luxton. He's 1 year old. He's been attending swim class since he's been 2 months. And during swim class, he's learning many things like how to swim, water safety rules, different techniques. And in the book, he's also journeying and having big dreams of becoming a Olympic swimming champion.
Awesome. Now, I'm guessing that this is based on your son.
That's right. The book is inspired by my son and modeled after him, the character. the main character.
Well, I am so delighted that you are getting your son into the water at such a young age, because I think that is so very it's so very important, just for a safety reasons, to help your kids feel comfortable, feel confident, to help them be able to keep themselves safe in the water from as young an age as possible. But it's also just in many of the same ways that, reading builds a bond between a parent and a child, that time you spend physically sitting next to each other reading. That same thing happens in a very similar way when you're in the pool with your child and you're helping your child. You're keeping them safe, but you're also helping them take chances, and it is that bond is growing in the pool, and you just don't want to miss it.
Yes, that's right, Jed. So that's the entire experience that we first had with our son when we first took him to his swim class. So we realized that we were actually building that bond and building a sense of trust. He was building a sense of trust with us as his parents. And just as we kept going, it just kept growing. And he's a lot more confident in the water. He's a lot more confident with us. And we just see that as time passes, that he just becomes so much more, he just gets better at what he's doing just because he has trust in us and he believes in himself.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about that, because I know there are people out there who are listening who have kids who are 5, 6, 7 years old, and they may never have gone into a pool other than a wading pool, and the parents have probably not gone into anything more than a wading pool themselves, who are sitting there saying, there's no way you're going to tell me that a 1-year-old can swim.
Yeah, we do get that a lot. A lot of the times we speak with some of our friends and even family members, and they're like, well, are you serious? Like, he's learning how to swim. So in my culture, it is pretty taboo to have your infant, toddler, and a lot of kids just going into structured swimming at all. So a lot of the times when we get that, those sort of questions or that sort of apprehensiveness from parents, we just really ensure them by just letting them know that what we're doing is we're instilling that educational piece into our child about water safety. They don't really get that outside of ourselves being their parents, and they don't come into the world knowing how or to swim. Mm-hmm. So they have to learn that. Swimming is a learned activity. So it's something that I believe that you should practice during your child rearing with your child, because there are statistics, and as we get into, our conversation, you'll learn about the statistics that are available to you on the CDC website or other websites that'll just show that there are specific number of drowning deaths that happen in our communities and in the country, where about 1 to 4, children ages 1 to 4 drowning is the second or the first leading cause of death. So we just try to make it a point to parents to just make sure that you are getting your children the knowledge of having that water safety experience, and just teaching them everything that they should know before getting into the water. Mm-hmm. So ages 1, ages even 2 months, that's a good time to start.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk about, you mentioned that having kids in swimming classes, especially structured swimming classes at such a young age, is taboo in your culture. Can you talk a little bit about your culture and why that might be?
Yes, for sure. So, for the listeners, I am an African American woman. And so in our minority group, a lot of the parents actually themselves may not know how to swim. And so you can't really teach what you don't know. Mm-hmm. And because of that, they kind of unintentionally instill a certain kind of fear into their children around water and in the water. And so they may delay them getting in the water, or they may just tell them, hey, just don't get in the water, just stay away from it. But it's inevitable. So in my culture, it's taboo because, it's just not something that we just stay away from it. And so, I'm just trying to implement with my son that, and with other people in our culture, and then people that don't know this about our culture, that we do have a higher number of death rates than Caucasian or other minorities. And so I think that it's very important for us to be avid advocates for Black and brown people to enroll their children in structured swim school. It's a great idea because what you're doing is you're teaching your child skills that they will take on through the rest of their lives.
And I'm curious about this. Do you think that the taboo, the fact that there's so many adults from your community that aren't able to swim themselves, was that a systemic thing, that they didn't have access to swimming lessons or public swimming pools for years?
Yeah, I do believe that, Jed. We really were not able to swim alongside our individuals who were of a different race than us. And we know this because of the history. And so that could be something for African Americans, that since we weren't able to do that, there were things that we weren't able to do in our history for a long time, even reading. So, because of that, I think that does play a part. It's not the only thing, so I will not say that that's the main factor, but I do believe that it definitely plays a part. It's not something we can rule out.
Yeah, fascinating. Tell me, I don't know, as we're talking and I'm thinking about safety, and I have a background. I spent a couple of years working as a lifeguard, and I always loved the pool. But it wasn't until I was a lifeguard that I started realizing that, you can take kids who are 1 year old and bring them in the water and dunk them down, and they can go underneath the water and hold their breath and learn how to swim and float, and it's really cool. So my kids also learned at a very, very young age, how to swim. I think it's different in terms of safety. And the way we teach kids, a lot of times the way we teach kids about safety is like, don't touch that, that's dangerous. And don't go there, don't go there, don't go there. Swimming is different. It's like, hey, this is something really cool, but we have to take some precautions about it.
Yes, agree.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about how that's different and how that might be more empowering for a kid?
Yeah, for sure. Like, you have to expose your child to different things, and that's what we've been trying to implement, is just exposing Luxton to different activities. So even when it's not swimming, like we currently have him also taking music class. So he's exposed to different instruments. He's exposed to singing, and also when you're with swimming and with music class, you're using different parts of your brain. So when you're doing that, like, you're developing motor skills, you're developing all these different skills that early in a child's life that, like I said before, they can continue to take with them throughout their life. It's honestly, like, really great for a child to start sooner than later. So like you were saying, I'm totally behind that. Like, just getting your child exposed, even if you might be apprehensive or afraid, you should just put them out there. You shouldn't really place your, what's holding you back or your beliefs, on your child, because they're their own individual. And they're going to be learning on their own soon. So you kind of just want to instill first what things that they should be doing and what things that they should not be doing, so that they know better. So when they go out into the world, they kind of have that voice in their head or those skills to back them up.
Yeah. As you're mentioning that, I think that it's sort of like a great foundation that we can help our kids build that will help them later in life when they start to drive or when they are faced with the choice to get involved with drugs or alcohol or tobacco, it's like, no, I can do that. I can drive this car, but I don't need to do it at 100 miles an hour. I can do it safely, and we can have a lot of fun. And I can, and I just think it's just such it's so much fun for kids, but it's also, I think, just so very empowering for kids to help them learn how to swim.
I agree. It like I said, it instills that confidence in them. And it also instills that trust with the parent as well. So like you were saying with them going out and driving, they're making decisions, their own decisions, but they still have that, well, mom said this, maybe I shouldn't do that. Mm-hmm. Or, from what I learned here, it could have been 5, 10, however many years ago, what I learned then kind of prepared me for the decision making that I'm going to be needing to have in the future.
Right. Right. What is it? And again, going back, you mentioned that there are so many families in your community that they don't put their kids into swimming, that they don't get to swim themselves. What made you different?
That's a great question because I don't exactly know what would have made me different. I just know that I felt compelled to put my son in swim class, but not just swim class, just expose him to different things. I guess I can say that I was pretty sheltered as a child. So because of that sheltering, I really didn't get the chance to experience the things that I should have. So then when I became an adult, I can say myself that I'm pretty fearful of some things. So I don't want to push that off onto my son. Mm-hmm. I want him to be able to go wherever with that confidence in him that I can do this. I'm strong and I know what I'm doing. So, that could definitely, because you said that, it could just have been, based on my childhood.
And I don't mean to put you on the spot. How good of a swimmer are you, Brianna?
Oh man, actually, I'm just going to say that I became a better swimmer after enrolling my son into swim class, just because I have to, mm-hmm. just doing it alongside him. I want to be able to, and because I want him to trust me, I want to be able to show him hey, mom's doing it. I can do it. So can you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I did grow up, I had a pool in my backyard, so I would swim frequently with my family and my friends, so I already knew how to swim, but, you can always get better at something.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what was it that inspired you? We know what inspired you to put Luxton into the pool and to expose him to all these different experiences, which is so wonderful. And I'm really happy I hear of parents these days who are specializing their kids at ridiculously young ages. At 3 years old, a kid seems to like soccer, and it's the parents all right, my kid's going to go to college on a soccer scholarship. He's not going to do anything else but play soccer, which is just insane. What was it that inspired you to take this journey and turn it into a children's book?
Oh, for sure. So it's funny that you said that too about, a kid being 3 years old and they're they're doing soccer. They're going to go to school for soccer. Their life is going to be soccer. It's funny because even with my son, I notice I give him a ball, he throws it and he's a whiz at it. He's almost, it seems to me okay, you're going to do baseball. You're mm-hmm. going to be a great baseball player. But mainly for me, unfortunately, before he was even born, actually, there was, in my neighborhood, a child who was also a minority visiting another neighbor, and unfortunately she drowned in their swimming pool. Honestly, I don't know the background information of whether they were unattended or if they were supervised, but that kind of lit a fire under me to want to enroll my son in swim school. So that's not something that we have to worry about in the future. Mm-hmm. So, that's one of the things that truly inspired me. Also, with the book aspect of it, I wanted to kind of share like I was telling you, I don't have family here in Arizona, so I don't have like a tribe around us to help with his, being here beside him and him growing up. So, I wanted to create this book so that they would have something, that they, can show as we hallmark his milestones that he reaches, so that my friends and family would be able to share that with us. Mm-hmm. So that was great. We do believe it's important to introduce, all children to new activities and for them to explore. But that was definitely one of the things. And actually last April of last year, I went, and I decided to be a full-time mom. So that afforded me a lot of extra time with him, and then even extra time to write the book, and just let family members know, like, hey, this is what I'm doing, because you can send pictures, you can, get on FaceTime with family, but I think that this is something that is like really, just special, mm-hmm. that our family members can hold on to. And then we can share it with the world, which is what we're doing.
Yeah. Wonderful. Wonderful. Now that Luxton is a hero of A Dream Can Be Achieved and will be inspiring kids all over the world and inspiring mm-hmm. families, have you caught the writer bug? This is your debut book. Are you going to be writing some more children's books?
Oh, for sure. I do plan for this to be a series. So first series is Luxton, a swimming champion. But then the next, because he's also in swimming class, as I was saying, I do plan to have, another book being published this year. I'm currently writing about his, journey in music class.
Ah, wonderful.
Yeah. So, and as he grows and all the activities that he begins to get into and get enrolled in, I do plan on creating even more books. It's going to be great because it's something that he can look back on for the rest of his life.
Yeah. And I think too, it's really important, for families, again, as we were talking about, to understand how important it is to introduce our kids to as many different activities and experiences as possible. That kid may grow up to have a soccer scholarship. That 3-year-old may grow up, but in the meantime, he also might learn that he loves jazz and that he loves to climb mountains and all those other great experiences that we share with our kids.
That's right. That's right. I agree. Like, just because we have him in swim school doesn't mean he's for sure going to be an Olympic swimmer. And just because mm-hmm. we have him in music doesn't mean that he's going to be the world's greatest maestro. But just, he may, in the course of, those endeavors, he may, in the course of like, doing anything that involves with swimming or music, find something else in the process that he'll love to do. So just getting them out there, like taking the first step, I think is major.
Yeah. And I think, too, it's really wonderful to give our kids a chance to succeed at many different things, because they're always going to be running up into something that they can't do, new experiences that they can't do. And it's really wonderful for them to sit back and think, well, there was a moment in my life that I couldn't swim. I don't remember it, but I know I had to learn how to do this, and it didn't come really easy right away, so I can do this new thing, too.
Yep, that's right. And it eventually, like, when you develop, your brain develops so that, you're able to, if you have like some resilience, you're able to understand how to tough through it and mm-hmm. get on and get over it so that you can go to the next level and the next step and so on and so forth.
Wonderful. Hey, Brianna, I know people are going to want to know where they can go to find out more about A Dream Can Be Achieved, Luxton, a swimming champion, and also find out more about you.
Okay, for sure. Yes. I am on social media. So if you go on Instagram, you can follow us on A Dream Can Be Achieved. So that's our, little, Instagram name. And then we're also having launches. So we have a launch tomorrow, which is going to be wonderful. That's why we have like family coming in. We collab with, other companies. So with his music class, we've collabed with them to do story times, those type of things. And we also have upcoming author events. So you'll find that on our website, those things on our website as well at www.adreamcanbeachieved.com. So you can follow us on Instagram or just visit our website and you'll see more upcoming events happening with us.
Awesome. We've had a really fun time speaking to the author of Dream Can Be Achieved, Luxton, a swimming champion. Our guest has been Brianna Clement. Hey, Brianna, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for having me. I really appreciated you allowing me on your platform, and I had a great time speaking with you.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast, and we hope you join us for the next episode. But before we say goodbye, we want to say thank you to the people who made today's show so wonderful. Of course, we want to start by thanking our guest, Brianna Clement. Please be sure to check out A Dream Can Be Achieved. Also want to thank our sponsors, Dr. Patty Michelle. Please be sure to check out The Antidotes Pollution Solution. And we also want to thank Sarah Belisa Tucker. Be sure to check out her great book, Help Ringo Tame His Temper. I want to thank my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Jordan Saley, Will Cheever, Cassandra Masonet, Stephanie Davila. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.